So first of all, I would like to thank the High Commission for organizing this event and a very high quality representative group of Pakistani origin diaspora in UK. As you have learned some details about Udan Pakistan initiative, which was launched by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on 31st December 2024, let me just say a few things to set the context that why Udan Pakistan. If we look at Pakistan's trajectory and history, in our history, some people say that we have achieved a lot, and some people tell us that we have achieved nothing. I think there is truth in both the narratives. Because if you compare Pakistan with Pakistan, we deserve a trophy. Because in 1947, we started our journey not from zero baseline, but minus zero baseline. Pakistan was a newly created state. It was burdened with millions of refugees, and India refused to give it the share of partition. And many believed that this country would not last longer than 5 to 7 years. So from 1947, the baseline from which we started, Pakistan of 2025 is markedly different, and we have achieved great successes in many fields. We did not even have common pen in our offices to, pen our papers. We did not have furniture in our offices. So we are among the 7 nuclear powers of the world. After all, we did achieve something. At the same time, in industry, in agriculture, in many other areas, we have achieved many successes. So Pakistan, compared to Pakistan, is a big success. But when we compare Pakistan to our peer group, when we compare Pakistan to other countries, unfortunately, we have not been able to do as well. In 1960, Pakistan's manufactured exports were about $200 million. The manufactured exports of South Korea, Malaysia, and Thailand combined were $205 million. So Pakistan equaled the exports of South Korea, Malaysia, and Thailand. In 2025, our exports have only increased from $200 million to $30 billion. South Korea's has gone from $100 million to over $600 billion. Malaysia has gone from some $70 million to $250 or $300 billion. And similarly, Thailand from $30 million to, again, over $200 billion. In 1980, Pakistan's per capita income was $300. China's per capita income in 1980 was $200. Today, China's per capita income is over $15,000, and Pakistan's per capita income is about $1,600. So likewise, when we compare ourselves with all those countries which were far behind, not only in Asia, but even in our region, till 1999, Pakistan was ahead of all South Asian economies. But after 2000, first India overtook us, and in 2013, Bangladesh also overtook us. So I think the fundamental question that bothers every Pakistani today is, why have we not been able to achieve what we truly deserved? And why have other countries done better than us, and why were we not able to do better than those countries? If someone is a doctor, would agree that the treatment, 70% of any illness depends on the diagnosis. If you diagnose the disease correctly, you will have a recovery. But if you are not able to diagnose the illness or disease properly, no matter how good a doctor you are, if you are applying wrong treatment, nothing will work. As a matter of fact, even an average doctor, if diagnoses the illness correctly, will be able to fix it. And a top class doctor, if is not properly has diagnosed the illness and not giving the right treatment, will not be able to fix the thing, it will not work. So I think the basic challenge before us is that we should try to understand what went wrong with us. Were Pakistanis less intelligent? Were Pakistanis less hardworking? Were Pakistanis less enterprising? Were Pakistanis less resourceful? Or were Pakistanis less honest than others? I can very confidently say that on none of these dimensions or factors, we are behind any other nation. No, I mean, we are not more corrupt than you have corruption in other countries of South Asia. Or we are not, as hardworking as other nations. If you actually go to Gulf, Middle East, here in Europe or America, and I think ask third country people what kind of people the Pakistanis are, so they will at least give you two answers, that they are very hardworking and they are very intelligent. और intelligent इतने हैं कि हर काम की जुगाड़ निकाल सकते हैं. So, our intelligence and hard work is our actually brand. But what has happened? Unfortunately, we have not diagnosed what was wrong with us. And we never tried to learn lessons from other successful countries that why they were successful. We tried to identify these things in Vision 2010, Vision 2025, and again in Uड़an, Pakistan, but I think we did not follow what was identified essential and critical for Pakistan's development journey. Just as if a doctor gives you a prescription and you don't follow it and you have another angina, it's not doctor's fault, it is patient's fault that has not been very careful. All these countries exhibit 4 characteristics of an ecosystem that they developed for their development. First lesson from these countries is that no country has ever achieved development without peace. Any country that remains bogged down in conflicts can never achieve its development goals. So peace is essential for development journey. 2, there is no history in the history of mankind or no example where a country has been able to develop with political instability. So you find each and every country first having political stability and then development has followed. 3, each country that has developed successfully also was able to have tenures of a decade to allow policies to continue for a decade, for them to give results. Policies do not give results before a decade. You can do a project in 2-3 years. You can do a program in 4 or 5 years. But for a policy to give results, it needs continuity of at least 10 years, if not more. So in each country, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Bangladesh, India, Turkey, China, whichever country you take, I can show you that they had tenures of 10 years, steady 10-year tenure of a regime that was implementing reform or economic agenda for it to achieved the goals. In our neighboring country, 10 years of Manmohan Singh and 15 years of Modi, these 25 years have changed India. Beyond India and Bangladesh, whatever political policies of Hasina Wajid regime were, but the 15 years tenure provided a stretch of a decade for the economic policies to take root, and Bangladesh took off. In Malaysia, it was Dr. Mahathir, which was there for 22 years, 2 decades of continuity of economic policies. In Singapore, it was Lee Kuan Yew, 3 decades. In South Korea, it was President Park for a decade. In Japan, after World War, except for 3 or 4 years, single party has ruled, although prime ministers have come and go, but there is just one party rule in Japan. In China, since 49, there is one party with every president doing 10 years. In Turkey, President Erdogan's party for last 2 decades. So, I mean, you find why? Because it is good to say in theory that there should be a charter of economy, there should be consensus on national policies, but in practice, when the regime changes, the policies change. And the most latest example you can see in the most strong democracy of the world, just as the administration has changed, the policies have also changed. So you cannot disconnect policy change with the regime change. It happens. So if you want, and that is why in America also, most of the successful administrations have had 2 tenures at a stretch. So Pakistan, unfortunately, was not able to have these stretches of stability and continuity. But the 4th element, which is equally important, is you may have stability, you may have continuity, but if you do not have an economic agenda and commitment to reform, that stability will not work. So we did have stretches of 10, 11 years under martial law regimes. They provided a decade-long stability, but the priority was different. It was not economic transformation. It was fighting a geopolitics or the wars for someone else. So we lost those opportunities. So you need a commitment to reform along with stability and continuity. So peace, stability, continuity of policies for a decade, and a continuous commitment to reform are the 4 prerequisites for an ecosystem of development that each and every country that did well was able to establish. If Pakistan also has to move forward, we need a consensus amongst ourselves that we have to stop doing what we have been doing, because that is not going to take us forward. It will keep us bogged down, or it will keep us locked into the same old cycle of instability and destruction that we have seen in our history for just moving in circles and not moving in a straight line trajectory. So I think that is the first thing. And this is, again, we try to set this context in Uड़ान, Pakistan. Why is it important for us to think? Because this is the 4th time we are seeing an Uड़ान for Pakistan. Before this, we have crashed 3 Uड़ाns of Pakistan. The first Uड़ान came for Pakistan in 1960s, when everyone believed that Pakistan is the next Japan in Asia. Pakistan was the first country in Asia to start space program. Pakistan was the country in Asia whose Habib Bank Plaza at that time in 60s was the tallest building east of Karachi. No other country, Singapore, no other place like Singapore, Shanghai, Thailand, or any other, Bombay had as high building as Habib Bank Plaza was in Karachi. So we were there, but 1965 war derailed us. We lost that Uड़ान. The second Uड़ान came to Pakistan in 1991, when Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif launched economic reforms in Pakistan, which were the first set of reforms in South Asia at that time, to liberalize the economy, to privatize state enterprises, to deregulate the economy and to make private sector engine of growth. Late Sartaj Aziz has said this on a number of occasions, that Mr. Manmohan Singh, who was then the finance minister, asked him at Commonwealth Summit that our businessmen are pressurizing us to implement the same set of policies that Pakistan has introduced. And he asked him to send him the copies of SROs, which Mr. Sartaj Aziz gave to Mr. Manmohan Singh. And later on, India followed the same reform path, but continued on it for a decade. As a result, in 2000, India overtook us. But what did we do with that reforms? In 93, the government of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was dismissed. And with this dismissal, the reforms were also thrown into the dustbin. And we lost that opportunity of leadership in South Asia. The third Uran came in 2013-17. In 2013, you are all aware that Pakistan was facing 16 to 18 hours of power shortage. Electricity would not come even for enough time for the batteries of UPS systems to be recharged. And people were forced to have light through candles. And there were headlines in the newspaper that Pakistan is back into Stone Age, because that was the only source of light for many people in the country. Day would not pass when a suicide bomber will not blow himself in some part of the country and have dozens of our people and security forces, Jawans, killed in those suicide bombs. And Newsweek put Pakistan on its title page as the most dangerous country in the world. Stock market had crashed. Economy was at standstill. Inflation was running in double digits. So no growth, high inflation, and country faced serious stagflation. At that point, again, under the leadership of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, we set out to turn around Pakistan's economy. Within 4 years, we installed 11,000 megawatts of new power projects. And if you compare that with 18,000 of megawatt capacity installed in 67 years, installing 11,000 in just 4 years was not an ordinary accomplishment. So, similarly, there was a consensus developed after Army public school attack in which Prime Minister created unity and consensus among political and military leadership to take on menace of terrorism by its pawns. National Action Plan was crafted. Mr. Imran Khan, who was sitting in the sit-in in Islamabad, was honorably called to join this consultative meeting so that we have whole of leadership approach and whole of nation approach with every section of politics and civil and military departments sit together and chalk out a strategy. Under that National Action Plan, within 3 years, we were able to completely eliminate terrorism from the face of Pakistan. Pakistan once again became a land of peace. Karachi, which was the financial capital, was the center of a law and order situation, crime, where on any day, if there were single-digit killings, people thought it was a very peaceful day. And in Karachi, complete peace was restored. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor was an opportunity that came to Pakistan, and we fully seized that opportunity. Within 3 years, $25 billion from China were invested in energy sector of Pakistan, in infrastructure of Pakistan, in information technology and other areas to give Pakistan much needed infrastructure, as well as foreign investment. In 2017, US ambassadors, UK High Commissioner, EU ambassadors, all these diplomats would come to me and ask me one question only. Mr. Minister, tell us, how can our companies join SCZs being set up under CPEC? The whole world started to look at Pakistan through the eyes of investment and China-Pakistan economic corridor. And there were Chinese investors in Pakistan, and we were hoping that these SCZs will attract at least $30 to $40 billion private investment, because at that time, Chinese industry was very actively relocating to low-cost producing destinations because of the high labor cost. Unfortunately, when Pakistan was taking that third Udan, in 2018, few generals and judges again conspired against that Udan, crashed it by disqualifying Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif on a very frivolous charge that he had not accepted salary from his son's company, and on that, resident permit account, he was declared ineligible to hold his office of Prime Minister. That again threw Pakistan into political crisis. In 2018, elections were again rigged through RTS system, and regime was changed. Regimes do change in countries, but should every regime also change each and every policy? The new government, which was completely inexperienced, almost changed each and every policy that we had started under Vision 2025. The result was those Chinese investments that were supposed to come to Pakistan, they got diverted to Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, because the new regime only knew one mantra, that to call everyone Chor and Daku. So it called us Chor and Daku, and it also called Chinese investors Chor and Daku. So why would any investor invest in your country if you are scandalizing them, if you are making baseless allegations against them for having invested in Pakistan at a time when even our own investors were not willing to invest in Pakistan? So we lost that great moment and opportunity. In 2022, we came back to government, and I want to tell you what are the facts, and they can be checked. We took office on probably 20th or 22nd of April. 1st of April 2022, under previous regime, Finance Ministry refused to release the last quarter of development budget installment, saying that it had no money. This had never happened in history of Pakistan. That full 1 quarter release was not made by the Finance Ministry on the account that it had no money in the kitty. So what it meant, that technically and internally, the country had defaulted on its own commitment liabilities inside the country. And when we came into government, I must give full credit to Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who took that courageous and bold step of accepting the challenge, because it was not an easy path. We took tough decisions, and as a result, we were able to avert external default, for which people were betting that whether it will take 4 weeks or 6 weeks for Pakistan to become another Sri Lanka. So we managed to rescue Pakistan from that crisis. We implemented some very harsh conditions of IMF agreement, which had been agreed by the previous government, but they did not implement them. Rather, they acted against them. And that created great mistrust between IMF and Pakistan. But the challenge for government was to also restore that confidence. And I must tell you that it is not easy to give a shock to economy of increasing the fuel prices by 150 rupees within a period of 1 month. You know, we are not just jahils, hum bhi padhe likhe hain, or we have experience and we know what is the impact if you increase price of fuel by 150 rupees within just 1 month. It, sends already high inflation into spiraling into even higher heights. But there was no option. IMF said, if you will not do it, because your previous government signed an agreement that we will eliminate all subsidy from POL and oil will go on international price. And if you did not implement it, we are not talking to you. So we had to do it. But credit must also go to people of Pakistan. Ayub Khan's government fell for increasing price of sugar by 4 annas. There were agitation in the country. 150 rupees oil prices were increased within 1 month. You did not see a single protest on any street or in any city of Pakistan. Why? It was not easy. The poor and the middle class paid a very heavy price. But every Pakistani knew that there is no other way. This is a bitter pill that we have to swallow. And I must also give credit to the media, which had educated people that what were the circumstances and what were the choices that government was facing. But again, I must say, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif took that heat and stood with courage, and finally, Pakistan was able to avert that crisis. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, after 2 years of hard work and sweat, we are at a point Pakistan is ready for fourth Udan. Inflation has come down from 38% to less than or close to 4%. The policy rate, which had gone as high as 23%, has come down to 13% and likely to go further down because inflation has gone down to great extent. Similarly, stock market, which had crashed to 30,000 points, is today breaking new records with 115,000 index points, which is showing that investor community is completely supporting and rallying behind the decisions of the government that they are in the right direction. So that shows growing confidence of the investor community in Pakistan. Exports are growing with about 30%. Remittances have grown with over 30%. IT exports, again, also showing 30% plus growth. So if you look at most of the economic indicators, we see that Pakistan is again on a positive trajectory. While we continue to be in an IMF program, which is a program of stabilization, and we have to keep ourselves within certain constraints. But despite those constraints, Pakistan is showing a lot of robustness because we had really gone far below our potential. So there is a huge gain that we need to make, and we are making, with restoration of stability and sanity in economic management of the country. So now, if we are poised for the fourth Udan of Pakistan, should this fourth Udan also meet the end of the previous 3 Udans, or should this be a different Udan? And I would say that we cannot have the luxury of repeating the history because, as High Commissioner Saab was also saying, we were discussing that in 22 years, 2 countries in our region will be celebrating their centennial. Our neighboring country and Pakistan, 2047. And 2 decades just fly like that because we are now in a digital age where things move with the speed of electron. So we have to ask ourselves that our neighboring country pretty much has a good idea where it will be in 2047. How clear are we that where are we going to be in 2047 in terms of our economy and in terms of our standing in the world. So that is a challenge, I think, that requires a response. Toynbee, who wrote history, was once asked that you have written so many volumes on history. If you were to give just 2-word answer to your work, how would you describe history in 2 words? He said, history is nothing except a series of challenge and response. There is a challenge and there is a response, and that response defines the next challenge. So I think we also stand at a point where we have a challenge before us, and how we respond as a nation will define our next challenge. My submission before you is, in psychology, there is a phenomena which they call self-fulfilling prophecy. You become what you believe. What you say about yourself, that you become. We have been fed wrong narratives. Chor, daku, chor, daku. I have not come across any nation in the world who is as self-critical of itself as we are. I have not seen any nation doing politics outside its own country and washing dirty linen on the streets of other countries. If they ever have to show any solidarity, they will do it very, quietly and sensibly. I was at Oxford University day before yesterday. And what really shook me was the debate is opened on both sides by a student of the university. So the opposing side had a Pakistani student. And when he opened the debate, he put Pakistan as a rogue state. He said, because Imran Khan is being not treated well, Pakistan is a rogue state. Now it was a Pakistani putting Pakistan on trial at Oxford University. So I was quite embarrassed and ashamed. And then finally I had to rebut also that, well, you cannot call a leader symbol of liberal democracy who himself loves Taliban and people know him as Taliban Khan. So are you propagating liberal democracy or Taliban democracy? And then how would you define a leader who has been decreed by Supreme Court to have committed an extra constitutional action of dissolving the parliament unconstitutionally? So military generals did that, but this was for the first time a civilian leader was declared culprit of an extra constitutional act by Supreme Court. And I said, if in UK, any prime minister of UK siphoned off 190 million pounds from national treasury and returned this money to the same guy from whom it was confiscated in money laundering or as a black money. So he returned this money, instead of depositing in the national treasury, returned this to the same culprit as white money in his home country. So what would you say? Is this democracy or is it a crime? And then the House decided otherwise. But my point is that we have to get mature. We have to rise above these petty politics, and we have to now think in terms of bigger issues. And these issues are going to define our future and the future of our next generations. The time is not on our side. We have lost 77 years. When you are running a marathon and you are behind in the first 5,000 meters, last 1,000 meters you have to run as a 1,000-meter race with sprint, with full speed. And I think the challenge before us is we are capable, We can do it provided we are able to do it with collective competence of the nation. And let me be very clear. Today, there is no single leader, there is no single party, and there is no single institution that can steer Pakistan out of the present crisis. Pakistan can only come out of this crisis through a collaborative effort, through a teamwork, where we can show the power, the positive power of synergy of our nation. And therefore, one of the key elements of Udan Pakistan that I will share with you is that we want to give ownership of this plan to the people of Pakistan, and particularly the talented diaspora of Pakistan, so that they can also sit with us on the driving seat and help us and help themselves see their country rise in the Committee of Nations as one of the fastest growing economies in Asia. So ladies and gentlemen, this Udan Pakistan, as I said, is not a theoretical framework. It stands on delivery of turning around a near bankrupt economy. So if we can come this far, we can also achieve the goal of making Pakistan a $1 trillion economy by 2035 and a $3 trillion economy by 2047. If we learn the lesson from other countries of peace, stability, continuity, and reform. Under Udan Pakistan, we have identified 5 E's that we feel are critical for our future development journey. The first E relates to exports. One of the fundamental weakness Pakistan has had in its economy has been that, as I said earlier also, we did not follow an export-led growth strategy in development like other countries. As a result, whenever we grow, we create an appetite for consumption, imports grow, but correspondingly, our exports do not match the appetite for dollars. So we do create appetite for dollars, but we are unable to create capability of earning dollars. And that creates a balance of payment gap, and that again forces us to cut down on economy and imports, and again, we go into a bust cycle. So it is a boom and bust cycle that has been very characteristic of our economy. So we have to now fully realize the export potential of Pakistan. And for that, we have identified 8 areas where Pakistan has huge opportunity. First, in agriculture. And just to give you one example, how much we can do in agriculture. 4 years ago, we were nowhere in sesame seed export. In 4 years, it has become a $1 billion export to China. I mean, this is just one example, how much we can do in agriculture sector. Similarly, it makes no sense for an agriculture economy like ours to spend $10 billion on import of agriculture produce. So we should actually be exporting rather than importing $10 billion worth of agriculture goods. So now government has decided to focus on developing agriculture sector by increasing our productivity. For that, we are sending this March 1,000 agriculture scientists and graduates to China to learn new techniques, new technologies, which they have developed very successfully. And in last 10 years, they have greatly increased their productivity through technology enablement, through smart agriculture. So we will train our researchers in these different areas, whether it is seed development, farm mechanization, drip irrigation, whatever, and they will come back and try to develop our agriculture sector on modern lines. Second is industry. So we have done an industrial policy, and we also think that our industry has great opportunity and potential to further increase our exports. We have relied traditionally on textiles, but now we are diversifying our industrial base to have new products for international markets. 3, service sector. Pakistan has huge potential in tourism, in various services, whether financial, consulting, and others. So that also we are focusing and promoting. 4th is IT. Pakistan has become now a hotspot for IT sector, and our IT exports are increasing at very rapid rate. We are already 3rd biggest country in e-Lansing, but we are promoting more startups so that instead of just taking low wage jobs in international market, our startups and our companies should do high value work in IT sector. The 5th area is mining sector. Pakistan is blessed with trillions of dollars worth of minerals, and particularly some of the new critical minerals that are used in batteries and EVs and all these new chip making. We are also blessed with that. So mining sector is now future of Pakistan, and recently we have been able to finalize our agreement with Barrick Gold on Reko Diq, and now Saudis are also investing. Chinese are also coming in. So we see huge potential in Pakistan in mining sector over the next 10 years, and we can generate billions of dollars of exports from mining sector. The 6th area is for Pakistan, that is blue economy. We have almost 1,200 kilometers of coastline, but we have not even scratched the first layer of the potential that exists either in fishing or aquaculture for Pakistan's economy. So blue economy is also one of the key drivers for our future exports. The 7th is manpower export. Pakistan already is having $30 billion in remittances, and we think that this can easily go to $50 to $60 billion in next 5 to 7 years. There is unlimited demand for some skills in the international global marketplace. I see diplomats who meet me all the time and they say, if you can give us 10,000 nurses tomorrow and day after we can give you the visas, we need nurses very badly. Similarly, there are some other occupations for which there is unlimited demand. So government is now very actively reorienting the technical training programs towards those skills and trades which have demand in international markets. So that would be another area. And finally, creative industries. Pakistan, again, creative industry is becoming a $1 trillion economy. And Pakistan has, as you know, we were discussing, so much rich culture, a history of culture, art, design, fashion. Our youth is so creative, innovative, music, name anything, gaming. So there is a huge opportunity in creative industries. So we are also now very actively encouraging creative industries so that Pakistan can not only achieve exports targets, but also through creative industries, we create soft image for Pakistan as a nation of innovative people, as a nation of creative people. The second E relates to E-Pakistan, and Dr. Najib has already shown you the path, how we intend to build strong technology-based economy in Pakistan, because today, future of economy is becoming a techno economy. It used to be an agro economy, then became an industrial economy. Now it is an age of techno economy. So we have to, at a very rapid speed, develop technological capabilities that will make us relevant in the new economy. We have a national task force on artificial intelligence that is working to see that how fast we can embed artificial intelligence in different sectors. We have set up national centers we set them up in the previous tenure during 17-18, National Center for Artificial Intelligence, National Center for Automation and Robotics, National Center for Big Data, Cloud Computing, National Center for Cybersecurity, National Center for Satellite and GIS Technologies, National Center for Genomics. And now we are setting up National Center for Quantum Computing, National Center for Nanotechnology. So all these new emerging technologies, we are trying to create strong foundations in the country so that our future economy is driven by the drivers of the new industrial revolution 4.0 and 5.0. We will also align all the research infrastructure that we possess, as Dr. Najib said, with industrial clusters, agricultural clusters. So each and every sector of the economy is driven by the knowledge contribution. Besides the capital, of finance, the capital of money, we today also need the innovation and knowledge capital in every sector of economy. The third E is about environment and climate change. We are the 7th most vulnerable country for climate change. In 2022, we faced a major disaster, and the challenge is how fast we adapt for future climate shocks. And the two areas that we are focused on is water security and food security. The fourth E relates to energy and infrastructure. We are working on making energy sector efficient through energy sector reforms. If it becomes efficient, it will become affordable. And likewise, also making a transition to green energy by promoting hydro and solar in the country. The fifth E is very important to me. And that is the most, not only important, but also the weakest link in our development equation. We have relatively stable economic indicators as a middle income country, but our social indicators fall in the league of the least developed African countries, whether it is education, whether it is health, whether it is population growth rate. So all our social indicators are not compatible with our ambitions and with our dreams. There is no example in history where a country has become a developed country or a semi-developed country with less than 90% literacy rate. We have a literacy rate of 60%. There is no example in history where a country has been able to achieve development without ensuring 100% primary enrollment or universal primary enrollment. We have about 24 to 25 million children out of school. So we have to bring them into schools, which is as important as building other economic or hard infrastructure foundations for the economy. So this fifth E relates to equity and empowerment. How do we address the issue of education deficiency? How we address the issue of health deficiency? In health, we have one of the highest rates in hepatitis C. To address this, we are starting this year a program with 67 billion rupees to eliminate hepatitis C in 3 years, like Egypt has successfully done. So if they could do, why cannot we do? So we have allocated those resources and have made it a national goal that in inshallah 3 years, we will knock out hepatitis C from our population. Similarly, we have started a major national initiative on diabetes to also bring that under control. We have started an 8 billion rupee initiative on child stunting so that we are also able to address the issue of child stunting. So what I'm saying is, it is not just words or speech that I'm making. In strategic management, we say that if something is not matched by budget allocation, it is just a pep talk. So, your seriousness only is reflected when you have the budgets behind your goals. So all of these goals have the budget allocations that we can give under our limited, finances or funds that we have available.
درست هر وقت but